Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Now, if you're a DAZN subscriber, I strongly recommend you go and watch the Japanese card that's available. It took place, well, at least in UK time, it was Tuesday, so that would be the 1st November. Now, the headline was it was a unification light flyweight unification between I can never get these names right. Hiroto Kawaguchi and Kenshiro Teraji. There you go, not bad. But there's an undercard fight. That was a brilliant fight, but there's an undercard fight well worth looking at because it starred Masayoshi Nakatani, who you know from his fights with Teofimo Lopez and Vasiliy Lomachenko. And he was on the comeback trail. He was against Shuichiro Yoshino. I think I've got that name right, Yoshino. And Nakatani, like I say, is it two defeats in his, it's two defeats in his last three fights against those two guys I mentioned, Lopez and Loma. But those are the only two defeats on his record. At least they were going into this fight. Okay. So, what happened? Well, Nakatani was in against Yoshino, who was undefeated. He had 15 fights, 11 knockouts, and 31 years of age, Yoshino, and about 5'9". Now, Nakatani is 5'11 and a half, which for a lightweight, of course, is tall. So he was kind of, a head above Yoshino, and he, for the first two rounds, he boxed very, very sensibly. He boxed on the outside, using those long levers, lots of jabs. Yoshino seemed a little bit all at sea, couldn't quite get close to him, wasn't throwing that many punches, and certainly in the, I think it was at the end of the second round and the third round, even when Yoshino landed half-decent punches, Nakatani was coming back and having the last word. And after three rounds, I had him 3-0 up, Nakatani. Now, Nakatani, in the third round, there was a clash of heads, and Nakatani had a very ugly, angry-looking gash beneath his right eye. I think it was his right eye. And there was some swelling as well. And it didn't, these Japanese fighters are so po-faced, it didn't look like it bugged him that much, in all honesty. But in the fourth round, it was noticeable that Yoshino was getting closer and landing more punches. And in fact, when he did land the punches, they seemed to be having more of an effect on Nakatani than Nakatani's punches were having on Yoshino. And Nakatani was landing some heavy wallops. But Yoshino seemed, even though he was kind of creeping into his groove. He was kind of creeping into his rhythm. And I thought that Nakatani, as soon as Yoshino was getting closer, Nakatani was making the mistake of trying to exchange with him. Now, we know that Nakatani likes a row because he tried to have a punch-up with Loma, and he tried to have a punch-up with Teofimo Lopez. And, he also holds a win over Felix Verdejo, which was, at the time, was considered an upset. He stopped Verdejo in 9 rounds. So that was the fight he had after the Lopez fight. So he was very highly thought of. But he likes a slugging match. He does. Even though he's much taller than his opponents, longer reach, when they get close to him, he won't skip away. He'll stand and exchange. And this proved to be his unravelling. Because in the fourth round, Yoshino started to land some heavy shots. And certainly in the fifth round, that increased. And to the point where Nakatani was beginning to look quite distressed. Yoshino, very close to the end of the fifth round, Nakatani backed into a corner and Yoshino came forward. Again, there was these sort of long looping overhand punches. One of them caught Nakatani in the corner, and as he came out, there was another right hand that landed slap bang on the side of his, I think it was his jaw, possibly his temple. It was on the blind side of the camera. And Nakatani appeared to me to take a knee. It was like he was trying to escape from the corner. He tried to run out. The right hand came over, banged him on the side of it was either the jaw or the temple. And he actually went down almost voluntarily. That's how it looked. Maybe he was genuinely hurt and there was a delayed reaction. I don't know. But anyway, that was the end of the 5th round. Now in the 6th round, out comes Nakatani, and never mind boxing, he just pours the heat all over Yoshino. It looked to me like he was thinking, I can't keep this guy off for 12 rounds, or was it a 10 round? I think it was a 10 rounder actually. There's no way I can keep this guy off me. I'm just going to have to try and blast him out. And he tried, and 60 seconds, or a minute into the 6th round, he'd virtually blown himself out. Yoshino had taken all the punches. At no point did Yoshino ever look hurt in this fight. And he started to unload, again, with these big looping overhand rights, lefts. He threw a few jabs into the mix. That of course, was what Nakatani should have been doing, jabbing and trying to move, but he wasn't into it. So Yoshino starts to land on Nakatani about a minute into the 6th round. And Nakatani clearly, as well as appearing exhausted and as if he shot his bolt, he's clearly hurt, and he goes down again. He gets up, and the referee takes a look at him and stops the fight. And even though Nakatani, I don't think Nakatani quit, but he certainly had no quitting him throughout his career. I don't think today was, or that fight, the most recent fight, was any exception. But Nakatani he had that forlorn look on his face, as if he was just completely exhausted and out of ideas. And so Shuichiro Yoshino moves to 16 wins, no defeats, no draws, and 12 knockouts or stoppages. What's next for him? Well, he's not actually that young. He's 31. He'll want a world title fight. For Nakatani, I think world level is probably, he's 33 now. I think there's too many miles on the clock now. I don't know. I mean, he's lost 3 out of his last 5. 2 by stoppage, but this was the most telling one. There's no shame being stopped in, I don't know, was it 9 rounds? Loma stopped him in, and he actually went the distance with Teofimo Lopez, although he did lose wide on the cards. But there was something about this particular stoppage which didn't bode well for Nakatani's future. Like I say, he's 33 years old. He might be at the end, certainly at world level, he might be at the end. Or maybe he'll take a rest, take a year off, and then if he's still got the buzz, if he's still got the motivation, he can come back again. But he's an exciting fighter. He is an exciting fighter. But the way he unravelled against Yoshino was really quite striking. And this wasn't a case of Lomachenko, bedazzling him and bewildering him with all that footwork and all those angles and spins. This was a very sort of come forward, basic, almost predictable fighter in Shuichiro Yoshino, who really just in the end took the guy's best punches, eventually got into his own rhythm, started to land what were uncomplicated assaults, and down went Nakatani, exhausted. So I don't know, go and have a look at it. It's on DAZN, this fight. It's worth a look. And tell me what you think of Yoshino. Do you think he can go further? I think he deserves a world title fight, certainly. But Nakatani, what do you think of him? Do you think he's finished or not? I don't know. Have a look. Leave your comments below. As always, thank you for subscribing to this channel. Subscribe if you're new. It'd be brilliant if you could. Hit the like button. We'll speak again sometime. Bye-bye for now.